So when I first started photography, and it wasn't that long ago, my head was spinning with everything I was trying to learn. I heard all these different terms and phrases, things I never even knew existed before. And one of the ones that gave me the most trouble was Aperture. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to try and save you some time, really make this a real quick 5-minute beginner's guide to whatever you need to know about Aperture and how it's important to you.
Alright, come on and snap to it. Cameras on, subject well lit. That photo challenge for top spot. It's hit me with your best shot. We got Kazoto Photo talking shop about framing shots with that Brett T guy. Camera tricks is what makes them click, so switch Fstop and listen. Camera tricks is what makes them click, so switch Fstop and listen in.
Everybody, I'm Anthony Kozlowskis. I'm from Kazoto Photo. You've probably seen some of our other videos on Hit Me With Your Best Shot that I do with that Brett T guy. Last week we did a water challenge, and Brett is a master of the macro. He's great at getting those close-up shots, and he showed this awesome shot last week, and I'm going to link that video. It's either going to be up here. I'm not exactly sure where it goes, but it's going to be up here somewhere. And you can see this shot. I think we called it Million Sunsets. And it really showed this awesome depth of field in the shot. Now, when I first started photography, I didn't exactly know what depth of field was or how it worked and how what we did with our camera affected it. So one of the things that I want to talk about today, and it's only going to be a quick tutorial. I want everybody who is confused about Aperture, Fstop, all those terms to listen in, and I'm going to walk you through what you need to know about Aperture so that you can quickly and easily get back out in that field and know exactly what you're doing with that number. So, with that being said, what exactly is Aperture? So here's the important thing. Aperture is actually the diameter of the entrance pupil of the lens. Okay, it's measured in millimeters. The Fstop is the ratio of the focal length and the aperture diameter. So Fstop equals focal length divided by aperture diameter. Okay, the aperture in combination with the shutter speed determines how much total light is let into the lens, okay, and onto the sensor. Now, that sounds like a lot. Here's the important thing. Okay, aperture is how big or small that hole is that lets the light in. Okay, what does this mean to you? In its simplest form, and what I find to be the most important factor of Aperture is how much of your picture is going to be in focus. Okay, it affects that more than anything else, in my opinion. Okay, that's what you need to know. This is what it relates to. Okay. Yes, it absolutely relates to light and shutter speed and ISO and the triad, the triangle, whatever you want to call it, the exposure triangle. But for all intents and purposes, what you need to know is that that f-stop number is going to let you know how much of your photo is going to be in focus. Okay? It's plain and simple as that. So I did a little demo last night, on my dining room table here using some Scrabble pieces to try to show you what this is going to do. Okay? So when you've got that low f-stop number, that's going to be only a small portion of your picture is in focus. When you've got a high f-stop number, you're going to get more in your picture. That's what I want you to know. So low number 1.8, 2.0, you're going to have a very small amount in focus. So if you're pointed at this thing, you're not going to see much behind it. You're going to get that blur, that bokeh, however you want to call it, same in front and behind it. Okay. The higher the number, so we start looking at 11, 12, all the way up to 22, you're going to get everything in frame then, no matter where you're shooting. Okay, so whatever you point at, you're going to get the stuff behind it, you're going to get the stuff in front of it. Now, there's a lot of math that really goes into it, but I want to keep this simple. I want you to be able to just go out there and know a little bit more about what that number means and how to use it to your advantage. Okay, so we're going to pull up a couple examples here. Okay, it's super simple. Okay, so what I did here on my screen is I put a whole bunch of Scrabble pieces out on my table. Okay. Now, I focused on this first one, and this is with the lowest f-stop number. Okay. So the widest aperture on my camera. Okay, on my lens, I should say. So this is my Nikon 50mm lens on my Nikon D610 camera. So what you can see, this is the lowest f-stop number that lens goes to. I'm focused on the K, and as I'm focused on that K, everything behind it is out of focus. Now you can very faintly see the next letter, okay? But for the most part, you're not seeing back here, okay? Everything's nice and blurred. Now, let's up that f-stop numbers. So we go to f5.0, okay? So now look, you've got the K perfectly in focus again, okay? That's where my focus point was, down in the bottom left there. Now you can make out the A. You're starting to see the Z, the O, the T, okay? Very little on that T. But we've got from here to here. Now all these pieces were about 3 inches apart, all the way out to about 4 feet, just for anybody who's keeping track at home. Okay? Let's up that f-stop number again, f10. Look how much more that you're getting in frame here. Focus points stay the same. I haven't moved that. I'm still just pointing at that K. But now you can make it all the way out to here. Okay? You're starting to see that this is a P here. If anybody at home can guess what I'm trying to spell here, prize to you. And let's up that one more time. Okay, f16. You've got almost the entire thing all the way back. And now this K is only about 3 feet in front of my lens here. And you're seeing all the way back to the end of this phrase. So you can see the entire Kazoto photo. Right? Another example here. Here we focused on the middle. So you should be able to guess looking at home here of what I'm focused on. It's the T. Okay, so I've got this T in focus at 1.8. And what you can see now is because my focus point is a little farther away, you can actually see a couple letters in front and a couple letters behind. So the closer you are to your subject with that low aperture, okay, the less you're going to see behind it. Okay? The farther away you are, you're going to see a little bit more. It makes that depth of field a little bit wider. Okay, so now let's up that aperture again. So f5. Now look, you're not just seeing the T and the 2 O's now. You've got the P, the H, you've got the Z, the A. You can start to make out the K a little bit. Okay, you've got the T all the way in the back. And that's only going up that one stop. When we did that earlier, you didn't get nearly as much because we were so much closer to our subject. Okay, let's bump it up again, f13. You've basically got the entire thing in focus now. We didn't have to go all the way up to f16. I did it just to show you that you get a little bit clearer there. So that difference between f16 and f13, not huge, but a little bit here and there. You can see it gets a little sharper at the ends. Okay, so again, real quick, I don't want to overload you with this information because when I started, I read everything. I watched all these videos. I was going through all of this stuff. Okay? What you need to know, the lower that number, the less you're going to get in focus. So you have to really nail that point. Okay? The bigger that number, the more you're going to get in focus. So this has a lot of real world effects when it comes to actually taking pictures, depending on what you're doing. Okay? If you want that nice blurred background, lower number. Okay? Now that's letting a lot more light in, so you might have to go up on that shutter speed. You know, you want a lot more in focus, or you don't want to miss a moving object, so you're taking pictures of birds like I like to do. Up that f-stop a little bit so that you give yourself a little extra space, but you may have to bring that shutter speed down a little bit, so it may be a little bit slower. Okay? So that right there is the basics of what I want you to know about Aperture. Okay? It's as simple as that. There's obviously a lot more advanced techniques in it. There's all sorts of math that we can get into. We're not going to do that. Okay? I just want you to focus on those simple things because that's going to make you better in the long run. Okay, practice. Do what I did. Set up some Scrabble pieces, set up something in your kitchen, in your living room, and play with the f-stop number and see what gets in focus, what goes out of focus. Change your positioning and see what that does. That's all you need to do. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.